It's crazy when you think about it. The more hate Islam gets, the faster it grows. People try to run from it, mock it, label it, but somehow it keeps pulling more and more people in. Why is everyone converting to Islam? This isn't just a religion anymore. It's a reality you can't ignore. I've been noticing this for a while, man. You see these videos all over social media. People from every walk of life, every corner of the world, standing in mosques, saying the Shahada. Guys who used to be atheists, people who grew up with zero religious background, even scientists, philosophers, influencers. They're all suddenly turning toward Islam. And it makes you stop and think, what's going on here? Because logically it doesn't make sense. We live in a time when religion is supposed to be dying out. People are becoming more secular, more independent, right? The world's more connected, more modern, more skeptical. Yet somehow Islam keeps growing. In the West especially, where it's been misunderstood and criticized for decades, it's still the fastest growing faith. That's wild. Now, when you think about it, part of it might be because of how much attention it gets. You attack something enough, people start to get curious. They go, all right, what is this thing everyone's so afraid of? And when they actually look into it, when they read the Quran or watch Muslims talk about their faith, it's not what they were told. They find out it's not a violent ideology or some medieval system trying to control people. It's something much deeper. It's structure, discipline, purpose. It's this code of life that seems to make sense in a world that's lost its sense. I think people today are starving for meaning. We have all the comfort, all the entertainment, all the access to knowledge you could ever want, but we're still anxious, depressed, lonely, and confused. You can scroll through endless content, talk to AI, travel the world, make money from your phone, and still feel like something's missing. And maybe that missing thing is truth, real, objective truth. Something that doesn't change every 5 minutes depending on who's trending. That's where Islam seems to step in. It's not trying to sell you happiness. It's not asking you to follow trends or find your authentic self. It gives you a structure, 5 prayers a day, a clear sense of what's right and wrong, a connection to something greater than yourself. That's heavy, because in a chaotic world, structure is peace. People don't realize that. I've had conversations with folks who converted, and they all say something similar. They say they found peace. Not excitement, not euphoria, just peace. Like they finally stopped searching. One guy said it's like his soul exhaled for the first time in his life. And I get that. When your entire world is noise, silence feels like truth. Another thing I find interesting is how many converts talk about science and logic. You'd expect faith to clash with reason, but they say the Quran actually invites you to think. It's not blind belief. It literally says reflect, observe, use your intellect. That's fascinating. It's like Islam doesn't fear knowledge. It embraces it, and that's attractive to people who grew up being told religion is the enemy of progress. And then there's the community aspect, the brotherhood, the connection. In a society where everyone's isolated, where you barely know your neighbors, Islam gives you an instant family. You walk into a mosque anywhere in the world, and you're welcomed. No one cares about your past or your background. You pray shoulder to shoulder with people from completely different worlds, and for that moment you're equal. That's powerful, man. Compare that to the modern world. Everything's about competition, status, and comparison. We've built a culture where everyone's trying to prove their worth through likes, achievements, or looks. Islam says your worth is in your sincerity, your character, our connection to God. That's a radical shift. And it's funny. The same Western media that spent decades painting Islam as oppressive or dangerous is now unintentionally promoting it by constantly talking about it. Every controversy, every headline, every debate makes more people curious, and curiosity is dangerous to false narratives. Because once people start reading for themselves, they start realizing the gap between what they were told and what's actually there. I think the more modern life gets, the more ancient truth starts to make sense. We thought we could build meaning out of technology and freedom, but it turns out freedom without direction just leads to confusion. And Islam offers direction. Not control, but purpose. It's also fascinating to see how people who used to be hardcore atheists or spiritual skeptics are now saying, I used to think religion was manipulation, but Islam doesn't feel like that. They see consistency, a message that hasn't changed in 1400 years, in a world where everything changes daily. There's a kind of comfort in that, you know? You look at people like Hamza Yusuf or Jordan Peterson talking about how the modern West is spiritually empty, or scientists who say the Quran's descriptions of nature made them think twice. It's not just emotional, it's intellectual. It's like the deeper you think, the more sense it starts to make. And I'm not saying everyone should convert or that Islam is the only path to truth, but it's clearly doing something that other systems aren't. It's creating peace where there was chaos, order where there was confusion, unity where there was division. You can't just dismiss that as coincidence. Maybe what's really happening is that people are realizing modern life promised them everything: freedom, happiness, progress, but delivered emptiness. Islam comes along and says, you were made for more, you have a purpose. And that hits deep, especially for a generation that's been told life is just random and meaningless. It's like when you strip everything away, politics, media, culture, and you look at the raw human experience, everyone's searching for the same thing: truth, belonging, peace. And if millions of people are finding that in Islam, maybe that's worth paying attention to. Not judging it, not fearing it, just understanding it, because at the end of the day, truth doesn't need PR, it doesn't need marketing. It just stands there, quietly, waiting for people to find it. And right now, more people than ever are finding it in Islam. So maybe this whole thing isn't about religion versus science, East versus West, or belief versus logic. Maybe it's about something simpler, something human. The need to feel connected, to understand why we're here, to live for something real. Maybe it's not about who's right or wrong anymore. Maybe it's about who's still searching for the truth,